Ladies and gentlemen, it is happening. Would you believe it? I am not Dom. I'm not even remotely Dom. I have a lot more hair on my head than Dom does. But I'm here and I'm live. Dom was meant to be joining us from C2E2, but he has the worst possible internet. So it's just me, except I've got good friends with me. Here's David.
What's up?
Yay!
We're gonna do this off the cuff.
We are winging this, but we know the format, right? We know how it works. We know what's going on. If you have never seen the show before, this is the Collector Showcase. Every week we bring two collectors together, battle it out over 7 rounds. It's a best of 7 scenario. Whoever gets 4 points wins the round and goes through to the next one. And the loser hears the immortal words from Dom, which I might have to say if Dom doesn't get better Wi-Fi. So tonight we've got 2 incredible guests on the show, Grail Keeper's Keys and JP Text 2. Both of these people you will have seen around Instagram, around the comic community. But let's bring them in. But before we do that, we should say hello to Black Belt Comics. David, welcome to the show.
What's up?
You good, my friend?
We're doing good over there.
We are. I mean, this is, slightly anxious, slightly nerve-inducing, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Without Dom here, we're going to be fine. Also, without Dom, it means no Thierry. So it will at least be a little bit more civil. So
it runs smoothly. Good.
Also, by the way, for anyone watching at home, not only do we not have the anchor, which is Dom, but we don't have Phil, who does all the technical stuff. So I'm also doing the technical stuff. So anything could happen over the next hour. But let's bring to the stream Patrick. Patrick, welcome to the show. I should probably start by asking Patrick, how high are you?
I was actually just about to hit the pen right before you put me live. It's in my hand. I am appropriately high, but I may continue to elevate during the show.
Appropriately high, such strong banter. I love it. Right, next up, someone who I think is less high than Patrick, but has the books in hand. This is JP Text 2. John, welcome to the show.
Sunil, David, Patrick, love to be here. Honored to be here. Thanks for including me. I'm just working on a cider, so not too exciting.
Oh, that's okay. It's respectful. Right. So, one of the things that Dom has in his head is who goes first. I don't know that because I'm not Dom, but we're going to start with Patrick.
Usually it's the higher ranked seed.
Yeah.
And I think it's Patrick.
I think it's Patrick. So what's going to happen? Patrick is going to show his book. He's going to talk us through the book. And then we are going to see John's response, his retort to the book. Before I ask you to pull out the first book, Patrick, we're going to attempt to put Dom in. We're going to attempt it and see what happens. Live from C2E2 with bad Wi-Fi. Let's go. Let's find out what it's like.
Terrible Wi-Fi. Let's see if we can do
Terrible
this.
Wi-Fi.
I don't know if you guys can
We've
hear
got
me.
the light bouncing off your head.
Wi-Fi.
I hear you better now.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Sort of. Please
Better?
stand by.
Yes.
We're gonna roll with it the best we can, Dom.
yeah.
Let's do.
Let's go for it. I'm actually going to mute. I'm going to mute Dom because it's it's not great audio. So, Patrick, let's kick us off with your first book. And David's going to be doing the stats today, and I'm going to be handling the straw poll. If you've never watched the show before, we'll give you a link that you can use in order to vote on the show. Very exciting.
All right,
it's all going to be smooth.
Last season, when I was on the show, every time I told a story about a book, I lost that round. So I'm going to start this tournament out with a story. I have a prop, too. So when I was a child, my love of pirates started in Johns Pass, Florida. I don't know if you could see Joe. This is Joe. So my love of pirates started in Johns Pass, Florida at about age of 9 when we started going there as a family. I had a pirate hat. That's where pirates go through. That's the pass, one of the places. I would later live in Tampa, Florida, where pirates invade that bay. So there's always been this austere of pirates in my life. And this is obviously not a pirate. But we acquired Joe as a family when I was 9. And it's fitting that this is happening on April Fool's because my dad played practical jokes with us with this for our whole lives. He would move Joe in the middle of the night when we were children and pretend that he didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. And my dad is Irish and he is sarcastic and he really made us believe it. Sometimes he would have our neighbors move this when we were out of the house just to prove a point that it wasn't him. So Joe has a very special place in my heart. And that's why this first book, when I saw the cover of it, it reminded me of Joe and I was like, I gotta have it. And it's way harder to find than you would think. But what I have here is a copy of Out of the Night, issue number 8. Tough pre-code book. I will also say that I have a lot of love for the community because one of my friends posted a picture of a booth from a con, and it was in the booth. And I'm like, holy shit, what booth is that? And he's like, it happens to be Ken at Cloud9, who we know and love. So I was able to find, this is a grail for me, this book. I was able to find it, and you will see, like, he's talking about avoiding the frozen death. So another part of the austere with wooden Indian chiefs and me is, if you've seen Creepshow, there is one of the shorts where an Indian chief comes to life and goes bananas, killing people. So Joe in my house scared me as a kid, but when my dad offered it to me, I had to have it. So that's my first offering of this tournament. Out of the Night, number 8. I think there are like 8 on the census, maybe.
Well, let me give you that information.
Well,
There are 10 on the census.
10. Before you go into the stats, JP
Yep.
Tex, let's see your response to Out of the Night. You don't have to tell a story as weird as that, but you can, like, show us the book.
Well, we accept all stories.
No, I love the story. And when we did the sort of the preview rounds, the get to know each other rounds, I shared a little bit. I'll quickly just summarize some of that. For me, this all started in '89 with Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and Tim Burton, and seeing Batman on a Saturday morning and talking my mom into letting me stay and watch it a second time. My mom's cool, and she let me do that. So after that, I started collecting. Got back into this a couple of years ago, like a lot of other folks. Luckily, I still had all my comics from my childhood, so that's been really fun as well. But the first one I was going to show, I'm trying to bring today. I'm kind of planning like this could be the only round for me. So I'm going to try to do my best here and represent a few books from the Silver Age, Golden Age, as well as the Bronze Age. So we're going to start out with a pretty significant Jack Kirby cover, Silver Age key, Fantastic Four 1. Now, this is actually the second copy I've had of this because I traded the other one. I'll try to get it up close. This is actually White Pages, which is pretty hard with this book. I'm sorry for that glare. That's tough. I'll try to work with that. But I picked this up in a trade within the community. I won't name names, but real happy to have it. Just an amazing cover, such history, sort of the beginning of the Marvel Universe. And this is my book 1.
It's awesome. And it's
That
White
is
Pages.
a very, very big book, and White Pages to boot. One of the joys of the show, and this is kind of what Don was always hoping for with it, was to get books that you just don't see. And what we've got here is 2 books that a lot of people will never have the joy of holding in their hands. I've dropped it in the comments now, the straw poll vote. You get to vote. Vote at home. If you're on Facebook and you're watching, it's in the comments as well. The straw poll for round 1. So get your votes in. We want to hear and we want to see what you think of these 2 books. Out of Night. Is it issue 8, did you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
Out of the Night, issue 8.
Issue 8, Fantastic Four, number 1, in a 2.5 cents copy. I should say cents copy because, I'm British. David is going to run us down a few stats whilst we get the first straw poll votes in.
Patrick, what grade do you think that is, roughly?
I don't remember what Ken had it at, but it looks like probably a 5.5 if I had to guess.
Okay. So here's the stats on Patrick's book. The book was published in 1953 by the American Comics Group. There are 10 currently on the census, 7 that are blue label, and interestingly enough, 3 signature ones. So there are 3 signature books of this. With Patrick's being in the 5055 range, that would put his book, if he sent that in, as the 3rd highest graded copy. There's an 8.5 and a 7.5 that top that, with the others all being below 4.5 or below. So the copy you have would be definitely in the top 3. So that's an incredible book. When we switch over to John's, there's a little bit more than 10 on the census for yours. To no one's shock. So if anybody doesn't know what this book is, then apparently you've been hiding under a rock. But that book came out in 1961. It's still a really old book, and the colors on that book are fantastic. So congrats. There are total of 2790 on the census, 2,790, 1,926 blue labels, 194 signature series, and 670 restored copies. At a 2.5, that puts John's book in the 194 number range, with the majority of them actually being higher than that, but it doesn't matter. That's an insanely awesome book, especially as a white label. So congrats to both of you guys. I mean, they're just incredible books.
What a way to start the show. We've got some comments coming in. Jessica T says, awesome start to the show. Thierry says, great books. The straw poll is up. It's in action. We've got people voting already. Currently, the vote is saying 12 votes, 75% of the vote are going to Fantastic Four #1, with 4 votes and 25% Grailkeeper Out of the Night. Last chance to get your votes in. I think we're going to call that relatively soon.
Well, I would like to say that John did a little bait and switch, setting up the whole Batman thing and then threw the FF in.
Oh, sorry, I'm nervous. Well, no, actually, don't worry. We're going to get to Batman. Sorry. I did my best. I'm trying to sort of represent a lot of my interest in sort of different ages, and some are more rare and less rare. But, one thing I wish, I guess, not trying to stop this down or anything like that. I just, as you get more and more familiar with everything, I'm going for more and more rare books, but also sort of with these keys, like you said, where there are more of them, trying to get into that white page realm. And, I wish CGC, I know they probably have it in their database, but, I would always be curious to know of the, 2,000 or 3,000 you mentioned, are there 500 white pages, or there 200? I don't know, but.
So I want to ask a little question on that, because I feel like you might have been being generous to CGC. My gut is they actually don't.
They have no idea.
Like, no one's recorded it, because I think if they'd recorded it, they would show it. Like, I think when you have so little data on your census of like just counting one, because I think the other one to that point is there are 15 million signed ASM 300s, but we don't know how many are double signed, how many are triple signed, how many are quadruple signed. Like, that number is.
Well, I think to that point, I think they could put that together. I mean, they have all the graded information, so they probably could easily put that together. To your point of the signature ones, it's a little bit harder on that case.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So we are going to call it there. Round 1 in the books is a win for JP Tex and the Fantastic Four #1. Grailkeeper Keys missing out on that round 1. So. As we move into round 2, we switch contestants. So JP Tex is going to start us off with his book, and then we're going to go from there over to Patrick. So let's see your second book.
Okay, Patrick, I'm going to jinx myself here by telling a story.
They don't work for me. They might work for you.
So, David, I'm going to show a Batman book, so there will be less baiting and switching on this one. So, I'm not unique. I collected for many, many years as a kid, and grateful I was able to pull out all my old comics. And then with pandemics and whatnot, kind of got back into all the MC movies with my kids and just dove headfirst back into collecting. So I have a really good group of guy friends here. And so as things got rolling and things were shutting down, we were able to maintain some bonds and actually like get to hang out in my backyard, called it Dad's Night. And so we were trying to do that as much as we could, and we're still doing it now. And so the beautiful part of it is, because I love Batman, generally when I send out an invitation to let everybody know that we need to hang out tonight, I just send the bat signal. So in that spirit, this is the first cover appearance of the bat signal. Iconic cover, black cover, Detective Comics 108. It's a 7.0 and it's white pages. And you can't see it because the glare is so bad.
Yeah, we're going to need more than the bat signal to be able to see it. Wow, Tech 108 in a 7.0. And is that the first appearance of the bat signal, the first cover appearance?
First cover.
Okay. That's hot. Patrick, what have you got for us?
So I mentioned pirates. I'm not going to tell another story, but when I saw this book, it reminded me of Blackbeard, and I love Chesler comic books. And so when I had an opportunity to get Red Seal Comics number 18, it's hard to work with the camera static like that, but it is Red Seal Comics number 18 in a 9.4 white pages. I don't know the census on it, but that's my book. He's like standing over with a giant club and got a armful of chicks he's scooped from somewhere, and he's getting chased down.
Patrick, if I'm not mistaken, that's a pedigree label? Talk to us about that.
It's a Promise Collection copy as well.
Just added that in at the end.
That's awesome.
That's insane.
Whoa. Pedigree collection there. Let me just double check. Right. The straw poll is in the window now. So you can get yourself into the vote right now. I'm adding it to Facebook as well if you're watching over there.
While Sunil's dealing with that, I'm going to give some information. We're going to start with John's, since we're going in age order, I guess, from what I can tell. Yeah. So Tech 108, 1937. There are a total of 104 on the census. So really not as many as I thought that I would find.
That's 104 in all grades. That's incredible.
It's a pretty rare book.
Yeah.
Wow.
95 are blue. 9 of them are restored. In the 7.0 range, there are 6, with about 16 higher grades. What's even more crazy, there are 2 9.6s of that.
Wow.
So, and they're blue label. They're 2 9.6 blue labels of a 1937 Tech 108, which is insane. To flip the script to the other side, for Patrick's book, Patrick's Red Seal Comics came out in 1945. There are a total of 19 on the census. All 19 are blue labels. So I think that's really incredible that there's no restored, no nothing. Patrick's is a 9.4. So just to add to it, Patrick's is the highest graded copy of that book. He is holding the highest graded copy of that book on the census.
Part of the joy of that is you've just informed him, because he didn't know that to be the case.
For sure. He was like, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And he's really happy about it as well, which is great.
So congrats, Patrick. You're holding the highest graded copy of that book.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So...
And I do wonder, actually, on that point, David, I wonder whether the other, the 9.6s you mentioned for the Tech, I wonder whether they came out of the Promise collection as well. Because it was really in that sort of era, right? A lot of that Promise collection was around about that time. So I do wonder whether that might be the route to it. Get your votes in This one is much tighter than the previous one, so it would be great for you to show your vote. These collectors are out here showing us great books, so it would be awesome if you can drop your vote for Red Seal, for Patrick, and then the Tech 108.
And
First
John,
bat
that's a
signal
white
on the
page
cover.
too, right?
It is white pages, yeah.
That's insane. To get a white pages from 1945.
Yeah, that is.
Patrick, what's your page quality?
White.
That's
Is it?
incredible. The fact that there's two books, there's two white page books on the screen from the 30s and the 40s.
I actually think we're 4 books in and we've still yet to see anything but a white page, which is
Well,
absolutely.
technically, Patrick's we don't know.
I can't
Yes,
I
yes,
can't
yes.
go 7 for 7 on white pages, so don't get
Well,
too
yeah, don't get too excited. The votes are tight, 11-6 in favor of JP Tex. So last chance to get your votes in before we move to the next round. I am getting close to calling this. We are going to give it one more minute. Whilst we're talking, and hopefully this doesn't prejudice anyone one way or the other, because I asked this question now. Patrick, did that book jump out to you more because it was a pedigree, or did that not matter to you?
Honestly, I didn't care. Like I said, I bought it because it reminded me of Blackbeard, and it was in auction, and it just looked beautiful on the preview pictures. And it wasn't during the first wave of Promise release books. It was after that, so I already knew like that story, and the prices got a little more realistic. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have touched it because I don't think I paid a lot for this. I don't know, but no, it wasn't for the pedigree. It's just beautiful.
And JP Tex, what are your thoughts on pedigree books? Have you got any in your collection? Is it something you would look for, or just having the Tech 108 in your hands is enough?
Well, I do love the story. And actually on we're all fans of Ali and Bill and everybody, the team at Elite Comics. They had Matt with CGC. Sorry, this is not a commercial, but I believe Matt said that they were working on, they came out with their grader book, right? And then they're going to come out with, I thought, a book that helps tell the story of all the different pedigrees. And
oh, wow.
I can't wait. Like, I hope that happens because I do think the pedigree books are really interesting. I have one and I really wish I understood the history of it a little bit better. So yes, I do think they're really cool. You know, I've heard some people who, I don't know, don't like them. I think they're great.
Yeah, I would be super, super interested in that. Right. We are going to call it for round 2. JP Tex takes us into a 2-0 lead over Patrick. 11-7 for this second round, which, you know, wow. We didn't see this coming, which is not in any way to talk you down, JP Tex. But 2-0 out the gate is a strong score. Patrick, you know, he's at Wild Horse. Last year, by some unbelievable fluke, I managed to push Patrick to a tiebreaker. And to this day, I still can't believe that was possible. It makes no sense in my head. But I managed to do that. So we go into round 3. But before we go to round 3, Black Belt, have we got some trivia?
We do. Just before we
Yes.
move on to the trivia, you know, John, you were just talking about the book. I happen to have the book in my hand. And it has a whole section on it, just in anybody who's curious. There is a section, I don't know if it's reversed or you can see it or not, on the pedigrees. And in the CGC book, it'll tell you the pedigree collection, but it also gives you a chart as to what was in the pedigree. So like, I'm trying to look for the Promise here it is. In the Promise collection, there was Gold, Atomic, and Pedigree 2000 through present. So it actually tells you that, and it gives you a little history of each pedigree, where it comes from. Like, I know I have a copy of Davis Crimpen D copy book, and you can read a little bit about it. But you're right; it does not cover a huge history. It's just they're very short little blurbs on it. So it's a great idea that I think that would be really fascinating to learn. So just in Here's the book.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. To me, it would make it a lot more meaningful, right? Just to kind of, like they just came out with that Fantastic collection, which it's a whole nother story, but just, that's in the news right now. So I feel like I understand that collection a little bit better. I'd love to understand the history and kind of who it was, when they were collecting, and then, the story of how it actually, made it to collectors' hands. A lot of this stuff
For sure.
obviously gets lost over time. So, it takes a collector, but then it takes preservation and then somebody not giving up on it. So it'd be awesome to hear about that stuff.
I don't know why they do it, because I'm not a big baller like you guys, but Heritage post their catalog from the US to me. It always arrives a week after after the auction's finished, which I think is amazing. I should contact them. But actually, if you said to me that the pedigree book would be this sort of style, where it actually shows you the books from the pedigree, I would be very, very into that. Like, that would be like incredible. We head into round 3, but I did want to do one of the trivia ones.
Yep.
Dom has just sent us the trivia ones by Instagram.
If you
The
don't like
first
him,
one-
blame him.
Well, the first one I understand. The second one I don't understand at all. So, David, we'll go for the first one, because the second one I'm confused as to what the answer is. So we'll do that. There are prizes. As to what the prizes are, if you check out Dom's Instagram, he flashed them up there. They're actually really, really good prizes. So go and check them out. In fact, I'm going to try and look while David's reading you the question. I'm going to try and have a little look on Dom's Instagram as to what the prizes are this week.
So in the chat, the first person that writes the correct answer is the winner. In DC Comics, what is the real name of Harley Quinn? In DC Comics, what is the real name of Harley Quinn? I actually get the other question, just for the record.
Do you? Good. Because I didn't get it at all. So I'm excited that you got it. So yes, what is the first name? Somebody's going to win a prize. Dom's going to post it out to you, not me. So you're actually definitely going to get it, which is pretty exciting, right? So if you want to answer that question, we've got a few people coming in. Unruly Simeon, Evan Husney.
I think Evans. I think isn't that the right answer?
It is. Yeah. Well, I think Evan will get it. He's missing the middle name.
I think middle names. He's
Dom's a little stickler for the full name, apparently.
No, but Evan's a classy gentleman.
Yes.
He wouldn't call her by a middle name without checking with her first.
I don't know her middle name.
So I think we're gonna give it to Evan.
Evan's a good dude. I met him when he was here in Dallas for the Collector Summit last November.
So
He's a good
You know-
dude. He was. I'm glad that Evan's back with us this week. Evan was not having it last week. He was not happy about a restored book being shown. So I'm glad that we didn't offend him so much that he was like, "It's a competition. How dare this guy show a restored book?"
there it is. Evan corrected it. Put in the full name.
Oh.
There you go. We all made Dom happy now.
Francis.
Good job, Ev.
Right.
I didn't know that. I really
No,
didn't.
I didn't know that. That was completely new to me. We head into round 3. Grailkeeper's keys to start on this round. This takes us, we're 2-0 down. Patrick, to bring it back to 2-1. Let's see what you've got for us, good sir.
I mean, I'm just sticking with my game plan, and that's what I did last year. So I will say a little something. It was put in, there's a group chat between all of us, and it was put to a challenge to me to not use any books I used last year throughout the entire tournament. So I listened to that because I got more books that didn't show. But this is one of my favorite pre-code covers. It's Strange Mysteries number 12. 7.5 off-white to white pages. One of the cool things about this cover to me is that it says on here the Devil's Festival. And for a living, I build music festivals all over the place. So I was like, oh, that's super cool. And I got to have it. It took me forever to find a copy, and I bought one from Ken at Cloud9. And then this Black Cat Collection one came up. I was like, well, I'll take that too. So this is my second copy of this book.
That's amazing. So, two clarifying questions for you. Number one, do you still have the other copy?
I do, yeah.
Wow, amazing. You probably own quite a high percentage of the copies that exist. And secondly, have you ever built anything inspired by that cover? After seeing it, did you think, you know what Coachella needs? Massive
be
skull
cool.
with people being vomited out of it.
So there have been some structures at the Voodoo Festival down in New Orleans that have this vibe to them. I don't do any of the set design. I just build those idiots' creations. They're always badly engineered and like. Actually, you know what? At Electric Daisy Carnival one year, we did this skull thing that had like a crown of spikes on it, and it was called the Q Dance. Is that type of music? I didn't get it. It's heavy metal and EDM mixed, and
Yeah.
but that thing was cool.
Yeah.
Is that the prototype for Castle Grayskull?
I mean, it's not.
I mean,
now.
generationally, it would be, right? Like, if you think the people that would have read that book would have been like 30 by the time that bit came out.
Look at it. It kind of looks like Castle Grayskull.
It does. Like, maybe a bit smaller. That thing was all out of proportion. Didn't make any sense. Right, JP Tex, you have to battle the skull vomiting people. What have you got to compete with that?
All right, I'm going to incorporate more props.
All right.
I'm inspired by Patrick, so you
he's
might
gonna get
notice my
Josh stick.
T-shirt.
Oh,
I'm also a big Star Wars fan. It's a dark saber. Picked that up with my son a month or two ago.
wow.
So I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My brother, I mean, we've probably seen those movies probably 100 times growing up, watching them together. So I can't being around and not show a Star Wars book. So this is a Star Wars 1. And what makes it unique is it's a 35-cent variant.
Nice.
So this is an 8.5 off-white to white. And what makes this a unique story is I was actually, my LCS here in Dallas is Titan Comics. Jeremy's the owner. He called me and he said, you will not believe what walked in the door today. And I said, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And I got there and he had 2 raw Star Wars 1 35-cent variants on the counter.
Wow.
And so we talked about it and I begged him and he said, I'll get them both graded and I'll sell you the higher graded one. And I'm going to keep the other one in my safe. And so one came back in 8.5 and the other one came back in 8.0 white pages. And I ended up picking up the 8.5 from him. So these are, I've heard people say different things like that, I love Star Wars, so I won't go on a Star Wars rant, but there are a lot of Star Wars ones out there, but there are not a lot of these. Marvel was just starting to play around with the idea of raising prices and was testing some 35-cent variants. It's almost unclear. The little research I've done is exactly where the books were even sold. We kind of deduced, based that there were 2 here in Dallas, that clearly it had to have been in Texas, possibly as well. David, I think, is going to help us out later, but I think there's maybe 2 or 250 of these on the census. It's a pretty rare book, and I feel pretty honored to own it.
That's awesome. I'm gonna actually go to you first with the numbers because I have them for both. But I think Sunil's put up the straw poll. So Sunil,
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to give it a little push. The straw poll is in the chat. I've mistyped it the first time. So the second link, hit that right now. Get your votes in. This one is going to be tight. This is going to be very, very tight. And I'm glad David's going to give you a little bit more context around these 2 books. But these are 2 very rare books. When it came out of the box, I was like, oh, Star Wars 1, 8.5. Then I saw the 35-cent.
I love the fact that it's actually, the way it's actually real is the fact that the 5 is kind of offset.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
So I actually pulled up the numbers for both just to give you the juxtaposition between the 30-cent and the 35. So I'm going to give you the 30-cent just total number for blue and total. 15,352 total 30 cents with 14,086 blue labels. Why do I tell you that? Simply because the book that is currently on the screen, there is only 307 total. There are 275 blue labels, 12 signature, which I find really amazing. I'd love to know who signed those. And 20 with Resto. In an 8.5, that is actually the highest number of books that are graded. There are 34 in the 8.5 category with about 48 higher grades. So congratulations, John. You have a fantastic book right there. It's awesome.
Is a crazy book. I wonder.
No, I
whether-
appreciate. And the fun thing was, to get to see it raw first was cool. I mean, it's not like I discovered it in the wild, but based on the relationship I have with Jeremy, I mean, he called me, and I felt really lucky that he called me.
Yeah.
So Thierry's going the same way I'm going. When we talk about the number of signed copies that are out there, it does make me think: were they the comic artist related? Was it Stan, or is one of those signed by an Ewok? You know, when like, someone's taken it to a con and got it signed by
Wicket.
Jar Jar Binks or something,
Wicket.
and then here it is. Right, let's move over to Patrick. I'll give you the full screen so that people can see.
So Pat, is that 1953?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, there were two on the census. I had to make sure I had the right one. So 1953, there are a total of 25 books on the census. 23 of them are blue and 2 are restored. Patrick's is, I can't see. Is it a 7? It's
7.5.
Thank you. The clock was in my way. At a 7.5, Patrick, there are only 2 higher graded on the census at an 8.5. So you have the 3rd highest graded copy of that book.
By the way, David, sorry to break you up there. That was the opposite face to when you told David. You told Patrick he had the highest grade. He was like, "Wait, the fuck has got this better one?"
Patrick's out there now. He's already searching eBay. Who's got?
Yeah,
my
he
book?
is. He's literally just started the search again.
So the publisher on that was Superior Comics, and it's just an awesome skull cover. So congrats. Both of the books are just incredible.
Get your votes in. You have to hit the straw poll. Comments in the YouTube or the Facebook do not count for this. You have to get it in the straw poll. And ladies and gentlemen, it is tight. It is very tight. There is just 2 votes in it at the moment. We are talking JP Tex for the 35-cent Star Wars one with 11 votes. Grail Keeper's Keys, Strange Mysteries with 9 votes. It is tight. So we're going to give that a second. Whilst we are giving it a second, and I'm glad I did because it's now 11:10. Patrick, that one has got a small circle on the case
Yeah, I
next
was
to the
gonna ask that.
7.5. Is that the Black Cat you mentioned?
It is the Black Cat Collection copy, yes.
So that's not an official pedigree, but that has been denoted afterwards.
Yeah, so basically what happened, and Gabe is a really cool dude. If you don't know Black Cat Collection, Gabe is really cool. Had a keen eye for pre-code horror books and just had a treasure trove of them, and basically worked with Heritage to get them all graded and in an auction together. And so there was I think it took 5 full days to get through all of the Black Cat stuff when they very first released it in the auction. And it was just really cool. I'll answer the question. I did not buy it because it was the Black Cat Collection. It was just nicer than the raw copy I got. And so I wanted a better one.
Makes total sense. Total sense. Let's have another little look at where we are with the voting. The voting stays 11:10. We're going to give it a little bit more time so that we can. It's gone 12:10. I want to just give it another second because it does feel like this one is going to be tight. This one is going to go a little bit to the wire. So let's make sure that we give people a chance to get their votes in.
John, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you into the Star Wars while we're waiting for the votes to come in?
Wow. Okay. So, my brother, believe it or not, we saw Flash Gordon. We had this Ladybug record player as kids, and we had this record of Flash Gordon, and it played the music from the movie, which was Queen, which was incredible.
Mhm.
And then also it had some of the dialogue from the movie. So I have like visual memories of being in a crib in the dark, listening to that with my brother. And we thought that movie was incredible. And then we saw Star Wars, like A New Hope. And of course, most people probably agree. That was also incredible, maybe even more incredible. And so from there, like we just had a love for science fiction kind of from day one. Of course, we loved all the toys, all the action figures growing up. Strangely enough, when I collected as a kid, I was collecting a lot of like Wolverine, Punisher, ASM, Batman, and like late 89 through like mid 90s. I did not collect any Star Wars then, which is kind of funny. But when I got back into it a couple of years ago, I just went off the deep end with Star Wars.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just got a book in the mail this week, and it's the first appearance of Buck Rogers. And to the same point, I remember being a kid and watching I mean, they came out a little bit before I was born, but I remember watching all the replays of all the Buck Rogers and being just mesmerized by it. And then getting into Star Wars, and same thing with Flash Gordon. So yeah, I totally get it. I was just curious.
I was actually watching no spoilers, the second to last, not the most recent episode, but episode 15 of season 2 of Bad Batch with my son right before this.
I watched it.
Oh, you did? Right. We're going to watch episode 16, hopefully after this. But
I'm loving
watching Bad Batch. You should. It's awesome.
I'm loving what they're doing with that show.
It's awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
We are
Dave Filoni is my leader.
We are going to call it. By the way, unrelated, I'm limping through Mandalorian season 3. Limping.
I like the last episode.
After Andor, which was just so good, I am limping through this. But that is a story for another day. We finish this round 3, and lo and behold, we are in a position where Patrick is 3-0 down. JP Tex is coming in strong, book after book. This is a strong showing. I'm updating the ticker now, so we can see it on the bottom, and it says Grail Keepers Keys 0, JP Tex 3. Now, here is a slightly worrying thing that's about to happen. JP Tex shows first in the next round, and this could be the knockout punch. This could be the knockout punch. We could go down 4-0 after Patrick winning last season. And when we say winning, he really did win. There wasn't a debate. He really did win last season. He has the belt, and the belt stays with you, as I hear it from Dom. There will be another belt created for season 2, so you won't have to embarrassingly hand it over like the WWE.
Wow.
There will be another belt, I think, unless I'm wrong. Have I said that wrong? I'm pretty sure that's true.
If they take my belt, it's going to have my logo on it. So
yes, it's engraved. Of course, it's engraved. So JP
Patrick's like that shit's staying with me.
Yeah.
Patrick, I didn't know.
On your lap.
Patrick, everybody that's probably watching this knows you, and you're like a pillar in the community. I mean, just an awesome guy, super collector, wonderful taste, eclectic, interesting. Just I really enjoy everything that you buy and what you teach me about things I don't know anything about. Having said all that, I didn't know you weren't showing any books from last season. So I mean, props to you for taking on that challenge. That's a lot.
JP,
I was
don't believe the hype there. Patrick's so high he can't remember what he showed last season.
Oh no, they're all still in a stack. Because I am so high, I would accidentally use them.
He's just never refiled them.
Well, I came into today literally kind of just I came out with the heat. We'll just leave it at that. So
he's got nothing for round 2.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to show these books, and if that's all I show, I'm okay with it. I can hang my head, hold my head up high. I shared earlier, and if any of you follow me on Instagram, I do like date stamps. And this is a Silver Age book. It's a Silver Age first appearance. It is the first appearance of the Incredible Hulk. It is my favorite Jack Kirby Silver Age first appearance cover. I feel like the cover colors is incredible. I think the story, so much of the story and the origin of the Hulk is just conveyed on the cover, which is so cool. when I saw this, I had to have it for more than one reason, but the date stamp on it is March 8th, which is my wife's birthday.
Oh, that's cool.
And when I saw that, that's really cool. If it had been my birthday, that'd be even cooler. But this is a Hulk 1. It is a CBCS. I know those cases are a little different. It is not restored. It is white pages, and the glare is really bad, but I'm going to try to show you that it says March 8th right there.
Yeah, it really does.
So 3.0 CBCS white pages.
Let's give you the full screen. One of the things that I notice so commonly about that book is that the right hand side is always screwed on that book, but that
Not
looks
too bad.
very strong.
Most of what is hurting this book, it would have a higher grade. There's a stain right here, which I don't know if you can see this. I got to think inversely here.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a stain there. You know, it has a subscription. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. It's the
A
diagonal
subscription crease.
Yeah.
The back is actually in really nice shape.
Wow.
There's not a lot of chipping or anything like that. Really no chipping down the side at all. And, you know, I prefer CGC. I've only sent 2 books to CBCS, and both of those, one was to get a Jack Kirby signature authenticated and a Stan Lee authenticated, but I send my stuff to CGC if I'm going to get them graded. I probably just leave this one as is. To me, there's just too much risk sending a book like this back in.
Yeah. You don't want a mistake on that. Right. So while David is racking up the information on the Hulk 1 in a 3.0 white pager again, my gosh, let's go with Patrick. Patrick, round 4.
All right,
what are you saying for us?
So, you know, I did show this book last year, but not this copy, so it's a technicality. Last year I showed this book, and this was, and probably still is, my favorite pre-code horror book ever. And I showed a 1.8 last year. I upgraded that to a 5.5, which I couldn't find for this, but I recently got a raw copy, and it's fucking beautiful. So it's at least a 6.0. And I'm hoping that I'm going to give it to Kenny Sanderson, and I'm hoping that he does his magic and it comes back higher. But this is, if you like pre-code, this has to be in your collection.
Patrick, why don't you tell what that issue is?
Well, I'm sorry. I assume everybody knows it's Venus 19, but so this is Venus 19, Bill Everett cover. Bill Everett's one of my favorite Golden Age artists. It's just, she's getting duped by death, and then there's this gang of little menacing Scully guys in the background. It's just got everything going on for it. So I have now bought this 3 times. This book I will probably continually upgrade until I have the nicest copy I can find.
That is a thing of wonder. It absolutely is.
I think things were just better at being scary back then. I mean, all those pre-code covers. I mean, that to me is so much scarier than anything they're making in a movie these days.
Wow. All right. So the straw poll votes. The straw poll link is up on both YouTube and Facebook. Get your votes in. These 2 books deserve your votes. We've got a Hulk 1 in a 3.0 white pager. We've got a pre-code Venus from Grail Keeper's Keys with one of the most iconic covers. That hand is so creepy. Oh my god! I'm just sort of staring at that hand. Like, that is, wow.
Since we're on Patrick's book, why don't we go to the numbers on Patrick's book?
Yeah.
First? So there are a total of 62 graded copies of that book on the census. 60 of them are blue, 2 of them are purple restored. Patrick, you think it's about a 6.0, you said?
Oh, yeah. I mean, as I look at it, I've only got to look at this for a couple of days, so it's really nice.
So at a 6.0, the census currently only has 3. There are 5 higher graded copies. So, Patrick, you want the highest grade, then you're shooting for a 9.0 because that's the highest grade. Yes. That sums that up. There is 1.90, there's an 8.5, an 8.0, a 7.5, and a 7.0. So with a little magic, you could break that top 5. I don't know if it's getting a 9-0, but good luck on that.
No.
So for anybody that doesn't know, that book was published in 1948 by Atlas Comics. So it's an incredible book to find, and especially in a high grade.
Yeah, Jessica's just mentioned it in the comments. That's one of the things that and maybe it's because of the scarcity of the books, you don't see them that often. But every time on this Collector Showdown, where someone puts those sort of pre-code books up, you look at it and then you keep looking and looking and looking. And I think, like I don't want to be downbeat about modern books, but there is an element of like you put your hero character and it's all in the foreground and there's very little subtlety. Whereas this, like the witch's coven in the back corner, sort of screaming Macbeth at you. There's just wonderful extra detail in that.
Yeah.
Evan Husney has described that top 5 PCH covers of all time. That should be quite a contested list. In fact, he's gone one higher. Maybe top 3. I'm waiting for his next comment where it says, and not 2 or 3.
Right. You need to put a board in there. There's no board in that bag, right?
Yeah, well, so literally,
John just calling him out.
I literally just took it. So check it out. This is how like tireless I am about. I found this on a motherfucking poster website.
Wow.
What?
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, on a poster site. So yeah, I do need to board it. I need to give it a proper Mylar. I literally just took it off of this cardboard for the competition.
The votes are incredibly tight. JP Tech slightly ahead with 13-11. David Black Belt Comics is going to just go through some of the context around JP Tech's book, and then we're going to call the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, cast your votes. That Venus book you do not see every day. The Hulk one, obviously an iconic Marvel book. But David, run us through what we know about Hulk one.
So Hulk 1, first appearance of the Incredible Hulk. There are 1966 issues on there, 1,966. 1,400 of them are blue, 131 of them are signature series, and 435 of them are purple restored. The copy that John is currently holding is a 3.0. Yes, it's a CVCS, but just to give you the numbers on the CGC, there's 161 blue, 16 sig, and 36 purple restored. So it's an incredible book. Book came out in 1962. The first appearance of the Incredible Hulk. And, the colors that John has are really bright on that, which is something that also you find often on that book is that it has faded colors.
Yeah. Well, and the other neat thing about this one, I already shared how I love the story that's conveyed. As far as like the Marvel Silver 8, the FF1, X-Men 1, AF-15, ASM1, Hulk, this is the most rare. And I always I try to think back on the time that, they made 6 of these and then discontinued it for a while. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. As popular as the character is now, but yeah, it's a cool book.
And those first 6 are really cool. Like all the covers on those first 6 are really nice. I attempted last year to build a consecutively getting 1 half grade higher each time, so a 2 for my number 1 and then a 2.53, 3.54, because actually made it more fun rather than just being like, I will buy these books when they become available. I got halfway through it and then never finished it and then ended up selling them all apart from the 1. But these are our 2 choices. We've got a Hulk 1 and a Venus. It is tight. As Sean has just described in the comment, Sean, I think your Pete Monster is having trouble with his Wi-Fi signal. It is buffering for him. I think it's okay for everyone else. I hope it's okay for everyone else. How is Hulk 1 beating Venus 19? Well, I'll tell you, Sean, how it's beating it, because more people have voted on the straw poll. You can make the difference. Get in and vote on that straw poll right now. I'm going to pull it up.
Hulk 1.
Oh, no, I love it. But this should be and is correctly tight. 13-12.
While we're waiting, Sunil, while we're waiting, make sure you guys are liking, sharing, get the word out there so that we get more people involved in this as well.
Yes. There is incredible. There's more weeks to come. There's more incredible collectors as well that are going to come and show their books.
Oh, yeah.
People contesting earlier rounds. Thomas Hickey. I still can't believe that Star Wars one If it had said 30 cents in the corner, Patrick would have blasted it out of the water. But that 35 cents, especially the fact that the 5 isn't centered. Oof.
Sunil, can you put Evan's comment on there so that Patrick can see how much he has to spend to get to that 9.0?
he would.
Patrick, I think you got a ways to go, bud.
It'll be a minute.
Dom can't join us in the broadcast, but he's joining us in the comments. Venus19 with that hands up. JP Text, they're going hard on you in the comments, but the vote agrees with you. Is John's whole family in the vote? By the way, we discussed this before the show. They can't be, because the straw poll we use allows only one IP address. So as soon as the House has voted on the Wi-Fi or the 5G signal, it's a lock-off. You're done.
Nobody in my house is voting. I can promise you that. I got one kid playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and one is working on a science project.
John's also saying, no one in my house is watching this, was what he really said there. So the votes as we stand, it's 14-13.
Let's go to the next round. Somebody vote.
Sunil, I have a question, because
Yes.
I'm not a Hulk fan. So it's not picking books. It's a question on the Hulk book. I know that they started 1 through 6, but then they renumbered starting at 105 or whatever it was. Why did they jump?
Well, because all those characters ended up in the Journey to Mystery, Tales to Suspense, Tales to Astonish sort of double header books. So he ended up in Tales to Astonish along with Submariner. So actually, I think he comes back in like issue 60, I think 59 or 60, and then 101 is Tales to Astonish, 101 and 102 is Hulk. In the same way that Captain America was Tales to Suspense 99, and then it goes to Captain America 100.
Makes sense. I was never sure about that.
Yes, yeah, it is a continuation of a number, sort of weirdly, because now they'd never do it, right? Now they'd be like, here's a Hulk 1, here's a Captain America 1, and everything would have been 1s, but they, for some reason...
I think I disagree with that, because we have about 400 times that Spider-Man has become Spider-Man 1.
Yes. No, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm just saying that absolutely is what would happen. I sort of predicted it. I predicted it was going to happen, and it has happened. We are tied up 14 all. We are going to give it another minute or two. And while we give it another minute or two, I'm going to ask David to drop us the second of the trivia questions. Once we get to the end of the trivia questions, then we are going to re-look at the vote. But there's a chance to win another cool book. So someone has just made that incredibly smart point. Let's go back to, I'm going to just drop the poll in the comments on the YouTube again to make sure that everyone's got it. That straw poll link will take you through to vote. Get voting, my friends.
All right. While he's doing that, here's your second trivia question. And we are going to decipher Tom's question.
I didn't understand the question, so good luck.
Okay. So I'm going to interpret it the way I think it should be interpreted. Tom, you don't like it? Sorry, write better. So in 1963, we had the premiere of a superhero team in X-Men 1. Can you name the members of that team? Who were the original team members that made their appearance in X-Men number 1, 1963?
So get the votes in, not the votes, your answers in, and we are we're going to award somebody else another prize. We should have done wrong answers only on this. I would.
You know what, though? It's not as obvious as people think. I think people don't forget a specific character on this.
Do you think there's one missing?
I do. So let's see.
I was looking around. I thought I had one here.
I think Patrick froze. Maybe
Patrick did freeze, and
you guys,
I think we have a winner though.
Do you see the comments on
Yes.
YouTube? You do? Okay, I don't see him.
We lost Patrick.
Oh no, he's back. He's back.
Okay, and we have a winner, Sunil. Evan Husney wins it.
Evan
Wait,
Husky's banned from winning trivia. Okay, he's
Wait.
got the fastest internet.
Well, if you think he's banned,
Dom
we
is
tell you-
answering the question. Dom shouldn't even be allowed.
Dom came second. It was his
Dom
Oh,
did
God.
the second he wrote the question.
but weirdly, I don't know how I've done it. I've lost an X-Men 1 somewhere here, which is wild. I don't know how that's happened.
X-Men 1.
How that's possible.
Things
but
that most people don't say. I just lost an X-Men 1.
I
Yeah.
don't know how that's possible.
All right.
I was gonna
Now
talk
back
about-
to your regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know how that's possible.
While our temporary host is looking for an X-Men 1.
The thing, because I saw a German copy of it this week, and on the German copy, Marvel Girl has got like lines coming out of her head to show that she's using her powers, and it makes the cover so much better.
Interesting.
It's so much because at the moment she's just sort of like doing this weird pose here, but actually that little bit is, right. So we've got news. David's given us the news that we have a winner for the trivia, which is exciting. Hilariously, thanks to Evan Husney. Of course, the answer was Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Beast, Angel, Iceman. Somebody has contested. Ooh, Thomas Hickey has added Professor X. Ooh.
I missed the question, but I'm assuming it's the original X-Men.
It is the
Yeah.
original X-Men. Professor X was not technically a part of the team. He was the person that put them together, but he
Right.
was not a formal team member.
Dom has said no, so Evan takes it. But as I return us to the vote for this round, we are at 17-15. JP Tex is the winner of round 4. Grail Keeper's Keys with Venus loses out on 15. And I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but Patrick, you won last year. And this year you have been swept.
Gone.
Wait,
In
and
the-
for the record, I believe this is officially the first sweep.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think
the-
this is the first sweep.
In the words of Thierry, damn.
Actually,
I cannot
Thierry-
believe it.
So
I don't feel good about it at all.
no, I feel great about it, and here's why.
I don't.
I know what my collection is like, and I'm happy with the books that I brought. One of the other books I'll show you.
Oh, here we go.
No, and this isn't even a
He's gonna
flex.
He's going to go out like
Because-
Figs and Fags last week.
So recently, I have been so obsessed with the manga One Piece that having the first appearance of One Piece in Japan, that's super cool to me. So I was going to show this today. I don't know how it would have done, but this is all about collecting, right? And what Dom put together is a really cool showcase for people to show what they have. I had an opportunity to do it all last season, and as fun as it is also very stressful. So, I'm happy that people don't have to deal with me all season, and that we get to see collectors that we didn't see last season. My only hope now is that Travis gets knocked out because he had a whole season to win and he didn't. So, congrats to you, man. You showed great books. And you whipped my ass with them. So good job.
Well, like I said, I appreciate that, Patrick. I think the world of you. I know it doesn't seem right, quite frankly. I feel very weird about this. Undeserved. I want to show the rest of the books, but I don't want to now because I guess I have to worry about doing this again now, which I really truthfully just was trying to bring my best to try to, at least if I was going out, to at least just show, my little piece of collection and what interests me. So this is very unexpected.
I wasn't trying to win, but I showed a Hulk 1, an FF1, and a Tech 108, but I wasn't trying to win.
But
I was trying to win. I just was trying to show indeed.
But you know what?
You're
It's
good.
That's the thing. Last year, I prepared for every opponent pretty much the same way. I went and I picked out books, and I'm like, how do I feel about them? And if I didn't feel like, I don't care if it wins if I love it, you know. And so last year that took me very far through the tournament. This year it wasn't going to work. There are so many monsters in this year's tournament that, like, you know, your approach is smart. Should I be sitting in here thinking where is my mask one? I should have used that today. Should I be thinking about all the stuff I should have done like Andres did when he flexed at the end? Sure, like, but that's the beauty of it. I fucked up and you didn't. You came correct. And so, you know, I think that's good for you. I'm happy. I really am.
I would caveat that by saying fucked up is very strong. You lost on the night, but those were unbelievable books, and you got a great reaction from the crowd. Like, people loved seeing them, and that's really the fun of it. I think the only person that, and I love him dearly, so I get to say it. I think the only person I've ever seen who completely misjudged the situation was Hiram, who showed 5 Mary Marvel books and lost on every single one of them.
Yeah, he stuck with his rat boy and got destroyed.
He was like, I'm doing this thing.
You know,
and this is what's happening.
But, you know, it goes to the point of a strategy, right? The strategy is show what you love. And sometimes showing what you love means showing the books that everybody knows that are massive books like John showed today, or showing what Patrick showed. And, you know, it's okay. There's a Modern Invincible one, you know. It also depends on who's in the chat, you know. And we were talking about it last week about that. What people are showing to who's in the chat, who's voting. You know, to the point, I know that Steve made the comment of it. Personally, I'm not a Hulk fan. I don't like Hulk. I know how important that book is, how rare that book is. Hands down, I would have voted for the Venus because I also know how rare that book is. So it's one of those things that sometimes the strategy is I'm going to show what I got. And if it wins, it wins. It doesn't, it doesn't. Or I'm going to go with the strategy of keep advancing.
Yeah, I mean, and then I forgot. Because last week when I was on with
Travis,
the
Dark Saber.
This is the last thing I'll say. Travis brought this book out and he's like, this pulp is, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew I had a copy. I was like, dude, it's not rare. I have one. I think I have 2. And so I was going to bring some pulps out to use. But, like, look at, these are pulps that may have a chance at winning something.
Wow.
Because they're actually rare, right? Like, and so Travis, if you're watching, this is a little aside for you, buddy. These are pulps that might get some votes, you know, like.
But yeah, Patrick's not having a meltdown right now.
Well, no, this is all stuff that is just on my desk, but you know, I mean, walking through a pool of blood. And so this is what I've been doing recently is buying pulps because they are fucking cool.
They are.
You know, and they inspired a lot of pre-code books. And so but I don't know if this translates. I didn't see it translate very well. Anybody that showed a pulp so far.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think on those, Patrick, people just don't know. They don't know whether that's a $10 pulp or a $20,000 pulp. There's just not that widespread understanding of them.
I'm glad you said that.
Because I think even you said it.
You can put me in that category. The pulps. That's a mystery to me. I mean, I love them. I just don't know anything about them.
For me, not only do I not know anything about them, apart from the fact that you guys see them and they're amazing, but in the UK they just don't exist. I don't think I've ever seen one at a show. Not even like a good one. I've never seen pulps. So like they just didn't exist. They just never shipped over. So they are all a mystery to me. So Patrick can tell me that is the pulp Action Comics #1. I'll be like, sure. Cool.
So check it out.
I have no idea.
Every single one is Action Comics 1 pulp.
This book it's called The Ghost Table, right? And this is why pulps are like, if I showed this book, people go, dude, you just showed me a book with a fucking table on it. This is important because it's the very first H.P. Lovecraft he ever put Cthulhu in a story is right here in this book. And if Cthulhu was on the cover, this book would be insanely expensive. So, you know, but do I show that book? You know, like, I'm glad it's over for me because it's stressful. You see how I stress out, John, man. I'm telling you, great round, dude. Keep doing what you just did, and you will really mess people up.
So,
Well, no, I appreciate that, Patrick. I kind of, like I said, I was trying to bring what I know and what I really appreciate and enjoy. And I wasn't going to bring a modern, but I know the group loves rare books. So I had a few more Golden Age books we didn't get to it. I guess I'm glad I showed the Star Wars 35 cent. I think that, well, every round was really close. So I feel like
Yeah,
we revoted
the
this.
closest to the
We
round.
probably would have a different result. Honestly, I don't know. It was really close, but that was one of my debates was should I hold the Star Wars 35 cent for a theoretical round 7, and that was the. I don't know why I had them laid out here in order, and that Star Wars 35 cent was at the end of the table. I'm like, no, I want to show this because if I don't make it to round 7, I want to show it. So
Yeah, and there was a cool story about it as well.
Yeah, no,
Right,
that's great.
we are going to finish up there because I'm always conscious this show shouldn't drag on too long. So we
yeah.
are we're over the hour mark, and we only did 4 rounds. So Dom was going to chastise me afterwards for not keeping to time. I want to say a huge thank you to David Blackbelt _comics for taking part and playing the stat role and helping make this all smooth. JP Tex, congratulations! It's phenomenal books you've shown. Thank you for your time and your energy. Patrick, as always, JP's mentioned it a few times during the show. You're a pillar of the community. People love you. We love what you do. We love what you're about. But in the absence of
Sunil trying not to have to say it.
I'm actually worried now. People aren't going to like me. This is terrible.
No,
Yeah.
You're not a bad person.
Say it,
I'm not a
Sunil.
bad
Say it.
person.
in the
Say it.
absence of Dom, because it's the nature of the show, I have to say it. Patrick, thanks for playing in season 2, but you got to go and buy some bigger books.
Oh, it's so good.
That's wrong. That's very wrong.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong. It's so stupid.
It was fun.
Thank you all. Come back next week for the next round. I couldn't tell you who's on next week, but there is more people on next week. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you like the content. Share it with friends. People need your votes. Let's have more votes
Does
next
this
week.
mean I have to do it again?
Yes.
You have to do it again, not next week, but you got to do it again. Congratulations, JP
Good
Tex.
job, John. Congrats.
Whilst I've got the mic, this is an outrageous thing, and Dom will probably tell me off for it afterwards. I'm live on Elite Comics 11 on Monday, selling books. I've just won 2 things on Heritage. I can't afford them, so come and buy. My
I'm going
books.
to message you. I want to know what you won.
Patrick and I watched him buy it too.
That's a beautiful book.
Put it this way: I'll give you a sneak peek of what's going to be on sale. This is going to be on sale on Monday night because I just upgraded.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Good for you.
come buy a Superman 3 Monday night. Elite Comics 11. Right. See you all later. Thanks, everyone.
Peace.
Good job.